All right, everybody, welcome back to Sports Extra on an historic day as we continue to have a live reaction to the breaking news that Raheem Morris as well as Terry Fontenot have both been fired by the Atlanta Falcons, which means a new era once again is coming for the Falcons. Home team, this is obviously a crazy time, but thankfully for whoever might be getting this next job, there does seem to be a lot of great pieces that would kind of entice a high-level coach to kind of come in here. Why would this be the best job, or is it the best job available, what you think that might come available heading this offseason?
Well, the cupboard is not bare, and you clearly have talented pieces, and a good coach and GM should be able to take those, add to them, and make this a more successful team. You know, we're still waiting to see whatever Kyle Pitts is going to turn into, but he did nearly break a record that was set in the 1960s, his rookie year when he had Matt Ryan throwing him the football. Bijan Robinson just set the franchise record for yards from scrimmage. James Pierce Jr. just set a rookie record for 10.5 sacks. And you have Xavier Watts tying a record that Deion Sanders held with his 5 interceptions. So there are pieces in the building, and that's what makes it attractive. People want to come to a place where they don't have to wait 3 and 4 years to see success. You can come in here and compete. You would think you lost a game to the Patriots, a double-digit team, by an extra point. You lost to Tampa Bay, missing a field goal. You beat the Buffalo Bills. You beat the Rams. So there's talent around here. You just can't go through the middle of the season losing for a month and then trying to clean things up at the end of the year.
Well, then that then brings up the question, who is the guy that you try to bring in here? And maybe not even a GM, but at head coach. Who? Because when you look around right now, who is maybe the best potential option to lead this team? Because it feels like you should get a good guy. And we'll talk about the quarterback position later because that's what usually ends up getting a lot of high-level coaches in certain places. It has a lot of pieces around the quarterback position. Who do you think are some of the guys they should be looking for?
Well, it's going to be fascinating because, like, last cycle had Ben Johnson, who was obviously the guy.
Star.
Everybody wanted Ben Johnson. That worked out. This cycle doesn't necessarily have that. I think you always lean toward you want an offensive coach in this era. And obviously, I wouldn't be surprised if they wanted somebody who had experience, just given where they are roster-wise, given that they expect that they should be competing. What does that look like? You know, we're going to – I personally, I think two of the best candidates are defensive-minded guys, Jesse Minter and Chris Shula, who are with the 2 LA teams. But if you're looking at offense, Clint Kubiak in Seattle, but none of those guys have ever been coaches. Mike McCarthy's been a coach. Cliff Kingsbury's been a coach. You can throw out names. I know that's like Brian Daboll's been a head coach. Like there's going to be names like that I think that you would at least interview because they've been there, done that. They've worked with quarterbacks, and we'll see how important Michael Penix Jr. is to this process as far as is Arthur Blank going to be making this hire with him in mind, or is it more I'm going to hire somebody and then he can make that decision? So there's a lot of elements to it, but I do think, you know, to the point that we were just talking about, Tennessee, you know, the Tennessee job is open. You have Cam Ward, but that's a big rebuild. There's just not a lot of talent there. And here, there's talent to work with, and you're in a disgraceful division. We talked about it. So I do think, and again, how much does it matter? You're making a lot. Atlanta's a good place to live. It's a good community to be in, and I do think that appeals to guys. I think the playing in the stadium appeals to. I think all of that stuff has some level of appeal. So yeah, I think it'll be coveted.
Yeah, part of the problem is you keep hiring coaches who've never done it before. And Arthur Blank, you know, keeps trying to find the right coordinator, and hopefully it sticks this time. But, you know, Jim Moore had never been, you know, a head coach before. Bobby Petrino had never coached in the National Football League before. Mike Smith, Dan Quinn, Arthur Smith. Raheem Morris did have some coaching experience, and he was a defensive coordinator on a championship team with the Rams. But, you know, when you talk about where you're going, I agree with Gabe 1,000%. I would like an offensive-minded coach. The coaches, though, with experience are, you know, coaches that are on the defensive side of the ball. If you go get a Robert Saleh, if you go and get yourself a Brian Flores, those are defensive coaches. And I think this city needs the next brilliant offensive mind to take this team to the end of this decade and beyond.
I'm going to go right back to you on this, home team, because it feels like one of the major things that Gabe brought up here is the quarterback position, right? So who's going to be running the show at the beginning of next year? Of course, Michael Penix Jr. tore his ACL. And when you bring in a new regime, they don't have a connection to Michael Penix Jr. They didn't draft him. So what do you think that the next I guess, regime will do, and how much do you think it actually comes into the job, the fact they have Michael Penix on
that's got a huge part of it, because those discussions on what he is going to be, if he's going to be here, we are rooting for him as Falcon fans, but a new GM, a new coach, they probably don't want a guy who has 3 knee surgeries starting off their regime and also has had 2 season-ending surgeries on his shoulders when he was in college. So every GM and every coach should have the right to pick their own player, their own trigger man. The question is the right guy in the building? Is Michael Penix the guy that can do it? Or if his body is not going to hold up, or the next regime doesn't believe it's going to hold up, then they need to have the grace and the opportunity to pick their guy to take this team into the future.
It feels like we could talk about this all day and night, and thankfully for you guys, you can go find any of their work wherever you guys want it to be on 680 The Fan as well as AJC.com. You guys can continue to watch those stuff.